Law is not what the law says. Law is what the law does. Hello, all of you. All of you must be by now aware of the unfortunate incident that happened in Tamil Nadu, where a father and son, namely Jairaj and Binix, died in police custody on June 23rd, that is last Tuesday. This happened after a week or so of their arrest by the police. Allegedly, their death was caused because of the excessive torture committed on them by the police officers in the Satankulam police station in the Thothukudi district of Tamil Nadu. Jairaj and Binix were arrested for allegedly violating the COVID-19 lockdown guidelines. I'm not getting into the specifics of their uh, offenses because in this video, I want to talk about a specific legal provision in the Criminal Procedure Code, the CRPC of 1973, that becomes very relevant whenever such a custodial death happens in police stations. That is section 176 subsection 1A of the CRPC. This is a provision that was added to act as a safeguard against arbitrary police actions during investigations of such custodial deaths to find the culprit. Towards the end of the video, I will highlight certain data that will highlight the problems with the non-implementation of this legal provision as well. I can kindly request that non-lawyers also give this video a watch, as there will not be many technicalities of the law being discussed in this video. All right. So, what is the normal recourse when a crime happens? Right? The police will first register an FIR and then start the investigation. But when a prisoner dies in police custody, it is slightly different. That is where the CRPC provision in section 176(1)(a) gains a lot of significance. Now, when an accused person dies in custody, typically, it could be a natural death because of certain ailments that he or she already has. It could be a matter of suicide. It could also be because of the death happened because of the physical violence that went on between the prisoners themselves, or it could be due to the torture committed on them by that police officer. So the inference is that culprits in such deaths within custody, within police custody, it could be in police station or it could be in the prisons. One among the police officers handling that jail or that police station could be the culprit in such cases. That's a very big possibility in such cases. So in such a case where that possibility exists prima facie, an independent and an impartial investigation by the police is a big problem, because here the police is asked to investigate against themselves, right? Impartiality is bound to creep in most of such cases if the police is the sole investigating agency because of the biases in favor of their colleagues, or because of their own self-involvement in that particular custodial death of that investigating officer, right? Natural justice principles, state that you cannot be a judge in your own cause. I know that this is mostly used in the context of judges and other authorities, who have certain decision-making powers in the law. But the essence of that principle can be used here as well to highlight the problem of bias in the investigation process. So, hence, to deal with such situations of custodial deaths, in the year 2006, the Parliament added and enforced a provision called as Section 176, subsection 1A. Idea was to ensure impartiality in the investigations of such custodial death cases. What this provision states is that when a custodial death is reported, like that in the case of Jairaj and Binix, judicial magistrates of that jurisdiction shall hold an inquiry in addition to the investigation held by the police in such cases. So what it essentially means is that a parallel judicial supervision was initiated to ensure that police is held accountable to hold a impartial investigation into that matter. Mind you, this provision is mandatory because it uses the word shall. and in the context that shall can never ever be interpreted in a in a looser manner, right? It is not at all discretionary power for the magistrates or for the police. The idea here is to ensure that evidences are recorded in the most truthful manner. The evidences are not tampered with, or even genuine evidences are not suppressed. Now, such a parallel inquiry by a judicial magistrate, along with the investigation by the police, enables the trial court judge who will later conduct the trial in this case to realize if the police in their investigation has committed some malpractice. This they can identify by comparing the police investigation report to the report submitted by the judicial magistrate. This is essentially a very good example to show the application of the concept of the constitutional concept of separation of powers, as well as the constitutional concept of checks and balances between differently situated state authorities. Recently in Tamil Nadu itself, in February 2020, there was another custodial death in the matter of one Mr. K. Mahindran, a 55-year-old man who had allegedly committed suicide by hanging himself inside the toilet of a police station in, I think, Vellore district of Tamil Nadu. In this case as well, in February, a magisterial inquiry, a judicial magistrate's inquiry was initiated under section 176, subsection 1A. So, the law looks great, right? You are seeing a judicial check on the state government's police force. And that's wonderful. But this is where the second half of the video becomes relevant. The law suddenly becomes futile when you look at its implementation. For instance, for relevant instance, in January 2020, the Supreme Court bench, division bench of the Supreme Court led by Justice Rohinton Nariman, and the other judge on this bench was Justice Ravindra Bhatt. This division bench of the Supreme Court was hearing a writ petition filed by an activist called Suhas Chakma. And Suhas in this petition had argued that the relevant state authorities had failed to implement section 176(1)(a) of the CRPC in cases of custodial. The data he produced by looking at the central government data published by the National Crime Records Bureau, which is a publicly verifiable open data source, that data is very horrific. For example, the data from 2006 till 2017 produced by the National Crime Records Bureau indicated that in India from 2005 till 2017 there were 1,303 cases of deaths of prisoners in police custody, right? But in all these 1,303 cases of custodial deaths, section 176 subsection 1A inquiry by a judicial magistrate was invoked only in, mind you, 270 cases. If I have to sort of draw this figure in terms of percentage, that is merely 20.7% of the total number of cases. Can you imagine? A mandatory provision couched in the shall language is invoked only in 20% of the total cases. That is abysmally low and reflects on the larger problem that we have in our legal system about non-implementation of law. And this also shows us that merely adding more laws and more rights in the text of the law does not really serve the purpose until and unless these provisions are actually implemented on them. Moving further, the petitioner also produced certain the responses that he got from the state authorities when he filed certain RTI applications, right to information applications. For example, from those right to information applications, he found that in Assam, in the years between 2015 and 2017, that is 3 years, 2015, 16 and 17, in Assam, a total of 58 custodial deaths took place. But a 176 subsection 1A inquiry by a judicial magistrate was conducted only in 1 out of those 58 cases. That is shocking, right? Thus, what we see is the non-implementation of a provision, which has effectively, destroyed the intention with which that provision was brought to the law, right? In fact, this is one of the main reasons why in cases where, the custodial deaths have been, tried by courts of law, police personnel have not been convicted even in more than 1% of such cases. That's because of the shoddy investigations that takes place into such custodial deaths. Of course, that's only one of the reasons, by the way. In fact, if you look at the unfortunate incident concerning Jairaj and Bennett's death, here in this case as well, the Madras High Court had to finally pass an order on June 26th to initiate a Section 176, subsection 1A judicial inquiry by the jurisdictional magistrate. This provision was not invoked till that time when the High Court interfered. Neither did the concerned magistrate invoke, his or her own power under Section 176, nor did the police took initiative to ask the magistrate to, initiate that inquiry. Right? In fact, the reports by Live Law and other such news portals indicate that the police officers in that police station even objected to and did not cooperate when the magistrate finally went to conduct the inquiry to that police station upon the order of the High Court. Now that shows, that shows, and that sort of, that's where, I want you to remember what I said in the beginning. We are living in a state where the law is not what the law says in the text of the law, right? And when I say text of the law, it can be the judgments by the Supreme Court or the High Court. It can be the statutory provisions in these legislations. But law is not what all of these documents say. Law is ultimately what the law does in reality on the ground. Is the law getting implemented or not is the question. That is all from my side. Thank you for listening.